There are moments in life that feel quiet on the outside, but thunder loud on the inside. Moments when a single choice can change how someone remembers the world forever. This is one of those moments, and it started on a staircase that smelled faintly of old wood and coffee. I didn't know it then, but the words she whispered would stay with me for years. "You came back for me, didn't you?" In that instant, I understood that kindness isn't always loud or heroic. Sometimes it's just showing up when someone thinks they've been forgotten. Before we begin, if stories like this move you, take a second to subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. It really helps the channel grow and lets more people find stories that remind us what being human is all about. You're watching Your Channel Name, and we're glad you're here. The story began when I was 19, broke, and trying to figure out who I was supposed to be. My best friend, Mark, lived 2 towns over. We'd grown up together, shared late-night burgers, bad decisions, and dreams we didn't know how to chase yet. His house had always felt like a second home to me. Mark had an older sister named Rachel. She was 8 years older than us, which felt like a lifetime back then. When we were kids, she was the cool one who drove us to the movies and pretended not to notice when we tracked mud through the house. Then life happened to her fast and hard. By the time I was 19, Rachel barely came downstairs anymore. She'd gone through a rough divorce, lost her job, and moved back home with her parents. People spoke about her in lowered voices, like she was something fragile that might crack if named too loudly. Most days she stayed in her room, curtains drawn, the world kept at a distance. I didn't see her much. When I did, she smiled politely, but her eyes always looked tired, like she'd been carrying something heavy for too long. One Friday evening, Mark asked me to come over. He was frustrated, pacing the living room, running his hands through his hair. He said he didn't know how to help his sister anymore. Their parents were worried but exhausted. Everyone loved Rachel, but no one knew what to say to her. "She won't even talk to me," Mark said. "She just disappears." I didn't have advice. I wasn't trained or wise. I was just a kid who cared. So I stayed quiet, listening, because sometimes that's all you can do. Later that night, I grabbed my jacket to leave. As I reached the door, I noticed a light on upstairs. The staircase sat there like a question I didn't know how to answer. I hesitated, hand on the doorknob. "Hey," Mark said. "You good?" I nodded. Then, without fully understanding why, I took my hand off the door and turned toward the stairs. I wasn't invited. I didn't have a plan. I just felt this pull, like walking away would be wrong. I climbed slowly, each step creaking under my weight. Halfway up, I heard a soft voice. "Who's there?" It was Rachel. "It's me," I said, suddenly nervous. I was heading out. She appeared at the top of the stairs, holding the railing. She looked smaller than I remembered, like life had folded her inward. Her hair was tied back messily, and she wore an oversized sweater that looked like armor. For a long second, neither of us spoke. Then she said it, barely above a whisper. "You came back for me, didn't you?" My chest tightened. I didn't know how to answer, so I told the truth. I didn't want to leave without saying hi. She nodded slowly, as if that confirmed something important. She gestured toward the stairs, and I sat down a few steps below her. Not too close, not too far. We talked for a long time. Or maybe we just shared space. She told me about the days that felt endless, about waking up tired before the day even started. She talked about shame and fear and how hard it was to feel useful again. I didn't try to fix anything. I didn't offer advice or bright sayings. I just listened. I told her she wasn't a burden. I told her it made sense that she was tired. I told her the world was better with her in it, even if she couldn't see that yet. At some point, she started to cry. Not loud, dramatic sobs, just quiet tears she didn't bother wiping away. I sat there feeling helpless, but I didn't leave. That night, when I finally went home, I thought that was it. Just a small moment, barely noticeable. I didn't realize how big it had been for her. Over the next few weeks, Rachel started coming downstairs more often. She'd sit at the kitchen table while Mark and I ate, sometimes joining in, sometimes just listening. She began taking short walks around the block. She laughed once, surprised herself, and laughed again. One afternoon, she handed me a cup of coffee and said, "You know, that night on the stairs, that mattered more than you think." I shrugged it off, embarrassed. "I didn't do much." She smiled gently. "You stayed. Years passed. Life pulled us in different directions. Mark moved away. I chased work, love, mistakes, and lessons of my own. I didn't see Rachel often, but we stayed in touch. Then, almost 10 years later, I ran into her at a grocery store. She looked different, stronger, lighter. She had a job she loved, friends who depended on her, a life she'd rebuilt piece by piece. We hugged in the aisle, carts blocking traffic, not caring. As we said goodbye, she touched my arm and said, "I never told you everything." That night, I'd decided no one would notice if I disappeared. And then you stopped on the stairs. I felt that same tightness in my chest from years ago. She continued, "You didn't save me, but you reminded me I was seen, and that was enough to keep going." I drove home in silence, thinking about how close kindness can come to invisibility, how easy it is to underestimate the power of a small, sincere moment. How many staircases we walk past every day without stopping. Kindness doesn't always look like grand gestures or perfect words. Sometimes it's awkward, sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's just choosing not to walk away. If you're watching this and wondering whether your small actions matter, they do. If you've been thinking about checking in on someone, do it. If you feel a pull to stay a little longer, listen to it. And if you're the one standing at the top of the stairs wondering if anyone will notice you, I hope you know this, someone will. And sometimes, all it takes is one person choosing kindness to remind you that you belong. Let's be those people for each other. Let's stay when it's easier to leave. And let's keep spreading kindness, one quiet moment at a time,